What's going on, fam? It's Kyle Henderson, Bama football on YouTube. Championship weekend in college football is here. I got my picks for championship Saturday, as well as my final bracket at the end of this video. Guess who I'm going to take to win it all? All right, stay tuned. All right, so championship Saturday, let's get it on. The first matchup, we got Georgia taking on Texas. Let me know who you think is going to win this game. Type G for Georgia, type T for Texas. It's a rematch. There's a lot on the line in the SEC championship game. I honestly feel it could go either way. I'm going to go ahead and go with Georgia. Look, I'm probably going to get a lot from the Texas fans on this one, but I think Georgia has enough to win this game in a rematch of two very talented teams. Honestly, I feel that each of these teams is a contender. I covered the SEC, but look, I get it. Carson Beck, his play has been up and down, but I still think that Georgia can outmaneuver Steve Sarkisian and Quinn Ewers in Atlanta. Hell of a game. So I'm going to take Georgia in overtime. All right. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting games taking place on Championship Saturday. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know inside the comment box. All right. Next up, you have Arizona State taking on Iowa State. I kind of went back and forth on this one. I know Arizona State right now is favored by just a little bit, but I think this is another game that could probably go either way in the Big 12. Look, I get it. The Big 12 was kind of up for grabs towards the end of the season, and it was Arizona State that came with it. As you look to the right, you look at their last four games. They beat Arizona, they beat BYU, beat Kansas State, beat UCF. So I'm kind of feeling right now Arizona State. Look, Tempe should be lit. I think that Arizona State and their head coach, by the way, who is absolutely fire. I think Arizona State by two, very tight game. All right, next up, I got Penn State and Oregon. Out of all of the games taking place on Championship Saturday, I'm feeling most confident about Oregon beating Penn State. Is there anyone that is watching this video that thinks that Penn State can beat Oregon? Honestly, I feel that Dan Lanning in Oregon, they have arrived, clearly. Are they a contender? We'll see. Dylan Gabriel, he is that guy, 3,200 yards on the season. I do like Penn State's quarterback. I've been open about that all season long. I just think that Oregon is going to win the big conference, and I think they finish undefeated. I think they're the number one seed in the college football playoffs. Is there anybody out there that thinks that Penn State could win? Feeling confident about this game. Let's see what happens. Taking Oregon by 10, okay? All right, the big one, Clemson taking on SMU. A lot riding on this game. Clearly, this is the game that we've been talking about in terms of implications, what's going to happen for the Alabama Crimson Tide based on the outcome of this game. Clemson, look, I've seen them play plenty of times this year. And I think I'm picking SMU, okay? I'm taking SMU by 3, all right? But I almost picked Clemson because I think that Dabo Swinney, this guy has the fire in the belly. And I think he's going to have the underdog mentality going into this game. Let me know inside the comment box who you think will win. Now, I didn't ask who you were pulling for. I'm asking who you think will win. Type C for Clemson. Type S for SMU. I think it'll be a really tight game. But look, anybody who jumps in the ACC and starts slicing up teams, I don't think SMU, we've really given this team credit for having a really good club this year. Give me SMU, and I think that kind of kills the drama going into the back end for Alabama Crimson Tide football fans. So let's go with SMU. Let's say a field goal to win it. Here is my college football playoff bracket. All right, I'll go full screen in just a second. This is how I have it. And as you can see, I have the Alabama Crimson Tide not only making it, but winning the entire playoffs. Again, the channel is called Bama Football on YouTube. Let me explain why. All right, so here's my bracket. I have the number 1 seed as Oregon, finishing out undefeated. I have number 2, Georgia, being seeded at number 2 after beating Texas. I have number 3, SMU, after beating Clemson. And I have number 4, Boise, who's beating UNLV as I cut this video right now. Penn State, I put them at 7. I put them ahead of Indiana, clearly. I think they'll drop a couple spots, having lost to Oregon. And I have Notre Dame at 6 playing Alabama. So that would mean the Crimson Tide would be on the road playing in South Bend. I think in all of the college football bucket lists, that's probably one where Alabama fans would love to go, right? Up to South Bend. I would imagine kind of in my make-believe that it's snowing at that game and South Bend and under touchdown Jesus, right? It's like all that stuff. I want to see that. And the TV ratings would be astronomical. And honestly, I think Alabama will give it to Notre Dame. Just wait and see, okay? Just wait and see. All right, I got Ohio State taking on Tennessee in a game that I would love. Look, depending on the level of play of Tennessee's quarterback at that point in time, who knows? But I think this is an interesting one. I've kind of gone back and forth. I think it's probably going to go Ohio State's way, but Tennessee will definitely come to play. Josh Heupel's done an amazing job with Tennessee over the last couple years. Texas taking on Arizona State. Now, the interesting thing, if Georgia is able to beat Texas, that would only be Texas's second loss on the season. That's why I put them at that number 5 spot ahead of Notre Dame. I don't think they'll be penalized that much, and that would put Texas on the top side of the bracket. Now, if Texas is able to beat Georgia, which they very well could, I think Texas will be number 2, and I put Georgia probably at number 7. So if you're looking at this from where the SEC teams, if Texas beats Georgia, you're going to have Texas, Georgia, and Alabama on the same side of that bottom of the bracket, which could theoretically mean you get an opportunity for Texas versus Georgia 3 times this season. So a lot riding on that Texas and Georgia game in terms of where those two teams land in the college football playoff bracket. And I think Texas, I have them in my championship game. I like them in this bracket. They would beat Arizona State handedly. They would beat Boise State handedly. I would imagine Texas and Oregon, Steve Sarkisian, Dan Lanning. I love the matchup. I think that Texas would be able to outshoot Oregon at that point in time. I think it would be a hell of a matchup to see those two teams go head to head. On the bottom side, as I mentioned, I think Alabama would be able to beat Notre Dame. I think it's a favorable matchup for Alabama taking on SMU, right? A team which would only have lost 1 game at that point in time. And then you have on the bottom side, I would take Penn State over Indiana, Georgia to beat Penn State. And then you have a semifinal matchup between Alabama and Georgia. I talk about this all the time. We're going to get to that point in time if this happens. Again, this is all rat poison, right? But we've seen countless times Georgia and Alabama play over the last couple years. This will be the same thing. Georgia will be favored. They'll have the team. They'll have the components. They'll be favored by Vegas. And somehow, some way, Coach Kalen DeBoer will be able to put it together, and they will be able to beat the Georgia Bulldogs once again. Just wait. I'm serious. And the thing is, and the reason that I picked Alabama to make the championship and to win the championship, and how sweet would it be for Alabama fans to beat Texas in the finals, okay? Because last year when Texas came, that was their moment, right? Steve Sarkisian told everybody, look, this is Texas football. This is the level that we are here. And they are, absolutely. Steve Sarkisian hasn't beaten Coach Kalen DeBoer. And look, Kalen DeBoer might lose to unranked teams, but he beats top-level teams. Did you know he's undefeated against Steve Sarkisian? He beat Kirby Smart, right? And he's undefeated against Dan Lanning, too, by the way. So this Alabama football team is absolutely talented enough to win the college football national championship. Will they? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Let me know what you think inside the comment box. It might sound crazy, but I have Alabama as an 11 seed winning the college football national championship. Sound off inside the comment box.